When is the last time you looked at your power bill? Yeah, we're going to be talking about power bills today on Pretty Furious, and we're going to explain why you should listen as well. I'm Mallory Hagan.
And I'm Maggie Gelson Burnett. This is Pretty Furious.
Power
Power
bills.
bills. Yay. I
Trust.
I really am this episode is fascinating. I really think that everybody should I'm biased. Everybody should listen to every episode, but this episode in particular, I think is incredibly informative. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for people to hear it.
We've got a guest on, my dear, dear, dear friend Chad, who's the host of He's Not Wrong podcast, who has been experiencing some weird and wacky things going on here in the state of Alabama having to do with Alabama Power. So that intrigued us. And what we learned throughout the course of this episode is really fascinating when it comes to who we elect and how they impact our utility bills. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, we want to make sure you're following us. Are you following us on Substack, on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and all the places? We're at Pretty Furious Pod. We've got some exciting news that's coming up in, I don't know, maybe next week or the week after. We'll have to finalize some paperwork, but we're pretty stoked about it. So
Yeah.
make sure you're following along so you're the first to know what's coming for the Pretty Furious Pod.
Mallory, you can't be pretty furious though without being pretty first. Did you bring a product today?
I did. Well, first you might notice that I'm a little more glowy than normal.
I was gonna say, you look like you're just very refreshed.
Thank you. I don't feel that way, not even a little bit. I do, in fact, have a 4-month-old, and he is being a baby. But I did rearrange my office. There could be some just natural light happening. However, last week we talked about my perusing of Ulta, and I was just, seeing what they had. I came across the Supergoop Glow sunscreen in Sunrise. And
Yes.
yeah, so while I was in the store, obviously I got online and I was like, what do people have to say about this? And everyone was like, this stuff is incredible. And I actually have very sensitive skin, so I tend to not wear sunscreen. Don't tell. Because it breaks my face out. Not only is this an SPF 40, but it's got this incredible glow. So I can wear it alone without anything on top of it. And my skin just looks really nice and glowy and refreshed. So that's
Love that.
my product. But I also, Maggie, wanted to do a live unboxing if you would have it with me.
Absolutely.
No one ever sends me product anymore because I talk about the fact that I hate Donald Trump. And you know who's really holding it down is Peter Thomas Roth.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so last week I talked about the fact that I love their Ice Wake, face spray for the morning with the caffeine in it. And so they messaged me and they were like, let us send you the next thing that we've got. So they sent, it says PTR to the Moisture Barrier Rescue. The
I
box
love.
is super cute. And let's see what we got.
I
Look
love
how
a
cute
live
this is.
unboxing.
Look how cute they're
Oh my God, that's
packaging it.
adorable.
Look at it.
That is so
It
cute.
says the heroic and hydrating adventures of water drench balm. It's like a little
I love.
comic
Oh my
book.
God.
I think that the box is supposed to sit in here like this. And it wasn't there, and I was like, did they send me an empty box? No product. They're like, you hate Trump, we hate you, bitch.
Psych.
Just kidding. But yeah, so they sent me the water drenched hyaluronic balm, the barrier cream that
Ooh.
goes alongside the spray that I have. So I look forward to
Amazing.
trying it, and I will report back. But thanks
Yeah,
to
keep
Peter
us
Thomas.
posted.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I
What's your
love
product?
that. That's amazing. My product is sort of pregnancy related, sort of not. Like I used the absolute shit out of this prior to pregnancy, but now I'm just using it a lot more. So this is the Osea undaria, I don't know, algae body oil. So, I mean, obviously you can tell, well loved. I love this body oil. So this is, Osea is one of my favorite like body care product lines. I just think everything they do is like incredible. They actually are genuinely one of the only brands that I've tried where I have yet to find something that I'm not completely like floored by. Every product is just a 10 out of 10. But yeah, love this. So if you are currently pregnant or you are just trying to battle like the winter months with hydration, this is great.
I love that.
And
I've never used a body oil.
it doesn't leave you feeling like overly greasy or like lubed up. Like I hate that shit where you like put on a body oil and you're like,
When you feel like you
I
can't
feel
wear
like
your
I could
clothes
just
because you're
like,
gonna ruin them. Yeah.
yeah, like you're like, I could just like worm around my house, you know, because I'm like lathered up. Like I hate that. Like I just, ew. So this doesn't really do that. So I really appreciate that. So
Love it. All right. Well, now
to the shitty part.
to the shitty part. What headline has you pretty furious this week?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. I mentioned to Mallory before we started this episode that this is one of those weeks where all of the headlines, every single one, especially nationally, are about Minneapolis. They're about the same topic. So occasionally we'll have news weeks like that where every single topic is covering literally the exact same event. And we should continue to talk about Minneapolis. It's still everything is still going on there. ICE presence is if not heavier than it was last week. So this is from NPR. This says, with limited political power, Minnesota Democrats navigate resistance to Trump. And I wanted to touch on this because I was on a podcast last night where we talked about this, about what now is the responsibility and the role of Democrats, particularly in Minnesota. We saw the video that was released from Governor Walz the other day talking about kind of what everybody can do. He encouraged people to go out and peacefully protest. He encouraged people to keep record of what is going on. So much of what happens nationally and globally relies on record. So keeping, video record of what is happening, especially since a lot of legacy news outlets are will try to convince you that this is, quote, not that bad. And the ICE presence there is, warranted and things like that. So I appreciated that he said that. However, I do think that Democrats are in a really interesting position right now where this will, I think, determine a lot of where this party goes. Like, I think this is a pivotal moment for not only our entire nation, but specifically for Democrats. I think that there's a lot of people, Governor Walz, I know he certainly has the best interest in mind of his constituents, but the reality is that like people shouldn't have to go out and quote keep record of what's happening in their neighborhoods. Like there should already be news outlets and media outlets doing that. There should be,
Well, this shouldn't be happening in their neighborhood.
this shouldn't be happening, yeah, like in the first place. So yeah, Congress should be taking action. There should be more that is happening. I think right now what we're seeing from a lot of Democrats nationwide is just kind of this like, well, whoopsie daisy, like I'm just gonna write a letter here, and we're sort of like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what are we doing? So yeah, I think that everything that Democrats do right now will determine the midterms. So I think this is a very, very pivotal moment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the news coming out there, as you all know, we're recording this on Friday for release on Monday, and yesterday, ICE agents tear gassed a family coming home from a kid's like basketball game or something. 6-month-old baby in the car, had to have emergency care. There's a 21-year-old, I think, in California who's been blinded by ICE agents. Like, the stuff that's happening around the country regarding these thugs, these people who barely have high school degrees, who are being hired without background checks, without any care or concern for the role that they're intended to have regarding immigration. It's just a lot. It's a lot to take in. At the Seneca Project, we released a video this past week of basically saying, like, we're at this point where you have to choose. Are you with people who are good? Or are you with, this is what's happening is evil. Like, it's not just, it's not law and order. It's not protecting our country. They're rounding up American citizens. They're tear gassing vehicles with kids in them. Like, it's insane. So yeah, I think it will do a lot to determine what happens this year. But I also think Americans have a really, really short memory when it comes to Donald Trump and the things that he does. And as we've talked about, the line in the sand just keeps moving. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What's your
My
headline?
headline is this past Wednesday, the HELP Committee, the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, so HELP. The hearing was about the dangers of mifepristone, the chemical abortion drug, and whether or not it's safe. And also they were going after telehealth, telemedicine, because that's where many women who are seeking abortion medication actually get it through telehealth. And so, Senator Cassidy had this whole speech about the science and the moral component of whether or not, mifepristone should be available to women across the country. And as we all know, they are trying at every turn to control women and what we do with our bodies. And this is just the next step of that. So they've banned abortion in a lot of states, but that's not far enough. So let's ban the drug as well.
Yeah. Don't fucking talk to me about morals when you are supporting a government agency that is throwing tear gas in the car of a 6-month-old baby. Like, we're not doing that. That's not.
He said the quote, "Scientifically and morally, there is no difference in the value of a child whether she's in her mother's arms or her mother's womb." And I just don't agree with that, first of all. But
that's
second
false,
of all,
but fine.
That's false. But also, then prove it. Prove it with the legislation that you pass in other areas, and they won't. Prove it by not quadrupling people's health care. Prove it by allowing the ACA subsidies, by passing some form of, any type of gun regulation. Prove
Literally
it by
anything.
not removing people's SNAP benefits in the state of Minnesota because they're protesting this administration. Like, fuck y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Anyway. So as per usual, lots of things in the headlines have made us pretty furious this week. But as I mentioned, we have my friend Chad on, who is going to talk to us a little bit about something I think so many people just don't know about. Or maybe they know that the Public Service Commission exists, but they don't know why they should care. Chad has a really interesting story. Chad DuBois is the host of He's Not Wrong podcast, where he uses his platform to educate, energize, and mobilize audiences to challenge the status quo in American politics. He is a nonprofit professional. He's got nearly a decade of experience in that realm. He also has worked across advocacy, fundraising, and campaign strategy. He ran for Montgomery City Council in 2019. He's worked on numerous political campaigns, including mine. And he is a Reed Award winner for national political fundraising. So let's welcome Chad DuBois. All right, Chatty, welcome in.
Hello, thank you for having me.
We're so excited for you to be here. The first guy ever on
male.
Pretty Furious.
Yay.
Listen, I'm excited to be here. I'm honored that I'm the first male of my species to be on Pretty Furious. I do have to say, though, I know there's a lot of commentary online about how white men don't need more podcast microphones. I am the exception because I am gay. So gay people get a pass on that one, and I put myself into that category. So
I was gonna say we've joked we're like certified man haters, but not the gays.
I might be white, I might be a man, but I am gay, so I get a pass on all of that.
You definitely do. What headline has you pretty furious this week?
Listen, it's not so much a headline that I'm pretty furious about as is the entirety of the White House. The White House and their social media, and I went deep on this 2 nights ago. They cannot get their shit together. I don't know what it is with their posts, with their graphics, with the copy that they write. I feel like you're doing an injustice saying that an intern is doing that. So I have it written down that I just can't even get into it fully. But like their aesthetic, the Mar-a-Lago face for women, the copy that they have on their social media posts, I'm pretty furious about all of it.
I am pretty furious about the fact that they continue to use Nazi dog whistles in social media posts, not just the White House, but across government agencies. There have been several this past week.
I just want to say on one of the posts from the White House, and this was 2 days ago, like the copy is straight fire from press secretary. Why is the White House saying straight fire?
I mean, you're asking this question of an administration that's president started his own social media platform because he didn't like how he was being tweeted on Twitter.
And
The man posts 100 posts a night when he's in whatever,
when he's having his sundown syndrome.
Listen.
pill-filled rage that he's in.
No, Mallory, I know what you're talking about because they just also released a video where they were using that Nazi propagandist backing music and audio for their ICE posts to recruit ICE people to join ICE. And so it's this whole, they're perpetuating this white nationalist idea, and they're really using ICE to further it.
Okay, so the phrasing that was used was on the Department of Labor, and they posted it on X. It says, "One homeland, one people, one heritage. Remember who you are, comma, American." And the Holocaust Memorial Museum describes it as one of the central slogans that was used by Adolf Hitler. And that slogan is one people, one realm, one leader. So not exactly the same, but definitely a wink.
And that's the language that they're using for the ads to recruit the ICE members, is the take back your country. Remember who you are. You're American. That's like an exact quote on the ad.
And also, lest we forget that I'll say 94% of their, graphics of their videos that they're using, things like that are fucking AI generated. They're terrible. I just, this administration has made such a mockery of what it means to be a leader in America. And so God help whoever is after this, truly.
How do you think that we come back from that? Like, is it something where we just bring back normalcy? Does the next president have to walk back a lot of what's happened? Is this something that takes a decade? Because I'm like, the system is broken. How do we go about bringing back civility and normalcy to the White House after Trump is out, if he ever gets out?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I was on a podcast last night and we were talking about, I'm bringing him up because I really do, not because I love this concept, but because I think it is true. We need somebody like Gavin Newsom, right? And unfortunately, and I say that because I'm not his biggest fan. I don't think that he's really anything like, to write home about. But he is I'm a white man. So there you go. You're not going to go from Donald Trump to any minority whatsoever. We already saw that in 2024. But, I think he is the type of person who's like the most almost Barack Obama adjacent politician that we've got right now, who's got a pretty solid bid for the White House in 28. He is incredibly conventionally attractive. So there's that piece of it. We would be remiss to not mention that as a piece of who's going to run for president next. If you pin him against JD Vance, it's no contest. And that's just unfortunately like a part of the puzzle. But I think you also need somebody who is, unfortunately kind of in that moderate, like sort of centrist role. Like Gavin Newsom is doing a lot of things right now that are appealing to people who lean moderate, who lean sort of like right moderate. And so I think that's what we have to unfortunately kind of like give into in 2028 for the Democrats, is like sort of this really appealing white guy who's going to come back and sort of, restore some kind of dignity to the White House.
I also think it's really important to note, though, like those of us who have been paying attention for a long time, who know how broken our systems are, who know that really in order for us to move forward as a country, we have to break apart first. Like all of our systems need reform, et cetera, et cetera. We all know that, but the average American does not, right? There are worse things we could be looking at than a moderate Democrat. And I think sometimes people on the left and progressives forget that there is a whole swath of the country that's just like not there yet. And I would rather have a moderate Democrat, a Gavin Newsom, who does and says things sometimes that I'm like, that was stupid, than I would a JD Vance or any person that's like MAGA, right-wing, conservative, etc. So I really hope that progressives and people on the left can remember that as we move into 2028, because the litmus test for being a good liberal or a Democrat is insane at this point.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback on that a little bit?
please.
It's something that I talk about a lot on He's Not Wrong, and I ask almost all of my guests who come on who are politicians or candidates running for office for the first time, and I try to get an understanding on their thoughts. In a place like Alabama, right? You have a Democratic Party that's been missing in action for decades at this point. But then you have this really progressive liberal arm of the party here in Alabama where they're spread out over the state. And these liberal progressives won't even consider the moderate Democrat candidate. I'm like, first, we have to elect a Democrat. We have to prove that we can elect a Democrat in Alabama. Their viewpoint is, no, if we're not going to elect the most progressive person on the ballot, then we'd rather have Tommy Tuberville win. I'm like, do you understand what you're saying?
But that's the same principle that's happened across the country. It's people who refuse to vote for Kamala because she wasn't far enough on insert whatever issue that they had, so they just didn't vote or they set out.
Right.
And that's really going to be to our detriment time and time again. So moving forward, I think you're right, Maggie. Like we have to have somebody who can speak the language of the people who sit in the middle, or even people who are on the right, but they don't really know where they belong. And Gavin Newsom is that guy. And anybody who says they love Donald Trump because he says it like it is, or he stands up to people or whatever it might be. I mean, Gavin Newsom presents that same opportunity to them. And then when they say they won't vote for him, you know what it's really about then.
Yeah. And I mean, when we're talking about white male voters, like, who determine elections in so many ways, like that is, when you think of like a white straight guy who he's going to look up to, it is somebody like Gavin Newsom. Like they like him because he's good looking. He's funny. He's charming. He's got kind of the charisma that you need to be a politician in America. And I mean, he also sort of, appeals to that middle ground in the sense that he has people like, he had Charlie Kirk on his podcast. He's having Ben Shapiro, I think, next week. Like, these people who are fucking idiots, but who men want to listen to. And so I think that is another thing that, will be a really big determining factor for whoever is our candidate in 28, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Gavin gets it. He gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who are getting it, you're getting this is going not that direction. You are getting some interesting interactions on your TikToks regarding Alabama Power. And I'm wondering if you can just kind of give us a lay of the land of how things are going there with this monopoly in our state.
So things are not going well. I'll start there. This all started back in January of last year. My apartment that I lived in last year was not weatherized, and I received my first bill for the winter, and it was over $500. And that, I talk about being pretty furious. I was pretty furious about that power bill.
Yeah,
and so,
dang.
After I started He's Not Wrong, went on TikTok, I told the story about that power bill. I put a clip on it on TikTok, and it just blew up. And in the comment section, I don't know what it was about that clip, but people flocked to it and they just started commenting their power bills. They felt seen. They thought it was a place where they could also commiserate with these outrageous energy prices. And so that's kind of where it started last year. And as the podcasts picked up, as the TikTok picked up, I was speaking more about Alabama Power and how unjust their practices are and how people can't afford their power bills. So that's been going on for a few months now. And back earlier in the fall, Alabama Power launched their first campaign against me to try to get my social media taken down because I guess they viewed me as a threat. But they bought like 50,000 followers on my TikTok, trying to get the system to flag my account so I could be silenced. And I went straight to TikTok. I'm like, hey, someone's doing this. I think I know who it is. Like, I promise you I did not buy followers. And they removed all of them. As the fall went on, I continued making videos. The attention was growing and more people were following me, wanting me to continue speaking out about Alabama Power. And as that happened, weirder things started happening. I would post a video and then the next morning I'm waking up to my power turning off and on. It's surging. I'm texting people in my building asking, is your a power doing really weird things? Nope. wasn't happening. They're flagging videos, they're buying followers again, I'm having to work with TikTok to get them removed. And these are all things that I've had confirmed by people that work in these really dark, awful, nasty consulting firms employed by Alabama Power as tactics that they use for people who go against them to try to silence them. Because, I mean, they're $1 billion corporation. Anything that is trying to, affect their bottom line, they're going to try to silence. Someone said it best. They said, do you think your life is worth their $1 billion? And it's like, oh, the links they'll go to.
Yeah. How many power companies are there in Alabama?
So Alabama Power is the main power company here in Alabama. We do have co-ops across the state where individuals, community members own a piece of their co-op. Their power bills are usually less. They're somewhat comparable, but they're less because the purpose of that power co-op is to allow the community to have buy-in. And then any kind of proceeds that co-op gets, it goes back into the community for their infrastructure. But the majority of the state is not under a co-op. It's under the Alabama Power monopoly.
Well, okay, so I want to pause right here because our listeners are probably like, why are we talking about fucking Alabama Power?
Yeah, sure.
And so I just want to lay the land that I think so many of us day by day are just trying to get by, right? Like you get your gas bill, your power bill, your water bill, and you just pay it. And we bought a new house this year, and we got our first water bill in the middle of the summer. We were, we had sod, so we've got a sprinkler system. We're trying to keep that sod alive, and we got our first water bill, and we were like, oh my God, is this what our water bill is going to be every month? This is insane. And so it's unless you get something that spikes to that degree, you don't really think about your water bill or your power bill or your gas bill. You just pay it, right? And especially when you don't feel like you have any other options or you wouldn't even know where to begin looking. And so when this started happening to Chad, I was like, Chad, we should talk about this because what we really want to get into is who is elected in our states, not just Alabama. Alabama is going to be our main topic of conversation just because that's where Chad's experience is. But every state has its own version of this in some way or another that I think Chad's going to outline for us. But I think it's just important to know that the reason we're talking about this is because we elect people who handle these things, or they're supposed to, for us. And as we move into midterm elections, some of these people are on the ballot. And it's really important that we as consumers are paying attention to the folks who should be auditing companies like this and helping us in our everyday lives be able to afford the things that we need for our homes to operate. Right?
So here's a really interesting thing. Yellowhammer News, which is one of those consultant news organizations, blog posts here in the state of Alabama. A lot of states have them where it's consultants writing these articles disguised as news and people believe them. Yeah, news, air quotes. They did a poll on Republicans in Alabama, and almost 90% of them recognize that affordability is on the ballot this year. It's their main concern. So when people say affordability, like this midterm election is about affordability,
it's going to be the Webster word of the year.
Yeah. Like they are not wrong when they are releasing that information in the poll. So Alabama is one of 10 states that elects a public service commission. 40 states have public service commissions that are appointed by a governor, and then they're confirmed by their legislative body. So it's really interesting in a place like Alabama, specifically where and in those 40 states, those public service commissioners are nonpartisan because your utilities, as
it should be.
Yes,
right.
It's because it shouldn't be a partisan thing, but you have states like Alabama that have it broken out where you would elect a public service commission and then it's party affiliated. This is what it gets you. You get these really insane, unjust practices that are affecting people's bottom line. There are so many people in Alabama, and thousands of people have commented and messaged me that their power bills are equal to or greater than their mortgage.
Holy shit.
So explain a little bit, Chad, about what the Public Service Commission actually does.
So what we're talking about is important because the Public Service Commission is the regulatory body that sets the rates for the power company. So you have a public service commission in all these states. They're looking at power. They're doing water. They're doing the maintenance and utility infrastructure for the state. They're doing telecom lines. What they do is vast. There's a lot of different pieces that go into what the Public Service Commission does. But the thing that people feel the most is their utility bill. And so the Public Service Commission has the ability to do rate reviews, which is pretty much an audit where they open their books. The public can scrutinize the rates, what they spend their money on. All of it is open for the public. Alabama Power has not had a rate review since 1982. 1982.
That's crazy.
So back in
the last time they were reviewed was well before any of us was born.
Any of us were born.
Yes. So I'm going to look at my notes to read this because I want to get this right. So instead of doing a rate review each year, what they do is something called a rate stabilization and equalization factor. So pretty much what they're looking at is a formula that has a range. So if Alabama Power is projecting a profit in this range, your electric rates might go down this year. If they're projecting a profit loss, rates will go up. And take of that what you will. Take of that what you will.
This is fucking nuts. Because I know there's no way in hell that Illinois is one of those 10 states that is doing this. Like there's just no way. Because there would be no way in getting away with this. This is literally highway robbery. So explain how, like, okay, so this is a for-profit company who is not doing any like rate determining factors year over year. They haven't done that in 40 plus years. Explain how is this so different from like how states like Illinois would operate? Explain kind of like the difference, but the main difference between the two. Obviously they're nonpartisan and things like that, but when it comes to like the cost associated with my power bill here in Illinois versus your power bill in Alabama, how is that determined?
There's a big difference between it because in states like Illinois, there's a lot more oversight over how a power company is charging customers. So when you have a state that has a public service commission that's nonpartisan, they're truly looking out for the people, right? So all the books, the finances for that utility company, it can be scrutinized. You know how much money they're spending on social events and activities. You know how much money is going to consultant firms like Alabama Power's Pay Matrix. We don't know how much. We know that they're a client, but we don't know how much they're paying them. We don't know how much money is going to lobbying in Alabama. But these are all things that you will have insight into. And so since there's no regulation, since there's no rule forcing Alabama Power to release those numbers, since there's no oversight into how much they're spending on these things, we don't know how much of that is being passed back down onto the consumer. And by the way, so that's a major difference. So your power is cheaper because of that oversight and regulation.
So
but
I could go to Ameren's website or in theory, I could go on Google, maybe not Ameren's website directly, but Ameren, my power company, I could go and find numbers associated with what they are spending year over year on consulting or yeah, like you said, social events, things like that. I could find all of that information.
Yeah. Yep.
Public audit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's public information. And so we know because federal regulators have, they've done some work with Alabama Power over the years. And we know that those social activities at certain times have been upwards of $50 million through Alabama Power. Yeah.
What?
In a single year.
What the fuck are they doing?
And the thing is,
mounds of cocaine.
And so,
what?
So the thing is, we don't know though how that is charged. We don't know how much of that is passed back down onto the consumer. There's a nonprofit here in Alabama.
I'm going to go with a lot of it. What do you mean? They're spending $50 million. They're renting yachts and going around the Caribbean. Like what?
Exactly. So there's a nonprofit here in Alabama called Energy Alabama, and they have a rate calculator. And so they've taken all this information and they've created this website. And pretty much you put in your power bill, and it breaks down for you where that money is going. A third of people, so if your power bill was $300, 100 of that is going to Alabama Power's profit. Your power bill should be closer to 200. And out of that 100, you are paying for the taxes on their profit. So instead of Alabama Power paying their taxes on their profits year over year, they're passing that tax onto the consumer. So not only are we paying more, but we're also paying for their taxes. It's insane.
Okay, so 2 questions that I have for you. First, do we know the salary of the CEO of Alabama Power, Jeff Peoples?
Yeah, so the Alabama Power, they don't release their financials. That's a part of the problem, right? The Public Service Commission is not requiring them to release that. So we don't know Jeff Peoples' salary, but we do know the salary of the CEO of their parent company, which is Southern Company. So Southern Company owns Alabama Power, Georgia Power, I believe Tennessee's Power. So the Southern utility for the United States is owned by the Southern Company, and he makes, I believe, $24 million.
Damn.
Okay.
And it possibly could have gone up because I think that number was from 2024. And so there is a chance that is actually higher as of today.
I hate it here. I hate it here. Okay. My next question to piggyback off of that. So this
Sure.
Southern company, this parent company, owns Tennessee Power, Georgia Power, Alabama Power, a conglomerate in the South. Are all of those states one of the 10 states that...
Yep.
What the fuck, man? What is happening here? I don't
Are you
like
pretty
this.
furious yet, Maggie?
I don't
Are you
like
pretty
this.
furious?
My neck veins.
Wild.
This is insane.
Yeah. So I have a running theory though that part of the issue in places like Alabama and in the southern states, and we're going to get into what Georgia just did and then what we can do, but part of the problem is this attack on education that you're seeing across the country, right? Well, Alabama's perfected that formula when it comes to defunding and attacking education. We're often the blueprint for things like that. And when we are removing the ability to teach people how to think critically and then separating things that are complex, the Public Service Commission is a complex thing to understand. There's a lot that goes into it. So by removing that ability to allow people to think for themselves, when you control people to the point where all you have to have is an elephant on a yard sign in order to win an election, and then you're separating the governor from being able to appoint a public service commission, you're essentially hiding them. You're making sure that it's hidden. There's no information put out there about it. People don't have and this is not a hit on anyone, but they literally don't have the ability to look at a ballot and see Public Service Commission and actually think for a second about how that affects their bottom line. And it's just ensuring that they continue to elect the same people, the same Republicans to the Public Service Commission to benefit Alabama Power. It's crazy.
It is insane. And when you think about, though, one thing that this conversation happens over and over again with me and my family, the amount of positions that are partisan that should never be, judges, sheriffs, mayors. Like there are positions in Alabama where I'm just like, there's an elephant next to that person's name. No one has any idea who they are, what they stand for. But when you think about the Public Service Commission and the fact that they are and have been Republicans across the board, what do you think would change if people knew more about public service commissions? I
think if people knew more about public service commissions, if they had the proper education, if that gap was filled, they would be equipped with the education and knowledge to actually vote on issues directly that impact how affordable their life is. They'd be able to understand that no, they need to be able to see the financial statements from their power company. They need to know how much of what they're paying each month in their electric bill is going to lobbying and consulting for that company. That they would be able to understand that, this is going to shock y'all, if you want to have a solar panel on your roof, you pay fees and taxes on that to Alabama Power. So it's actually not financially advantageous.
So they make money on you?
Yes.
Making your own power?
Yes.
Wow.
And so people would understand that there are ways to make life more affordable, and they have the power to affect that change themselves. And people in Georgia just did it back in November.
Yeah, I was just gonna say more about Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah, so Georgia has an elected public service commission like Alabama, and they all Republican like Alabama's public service commission. And back in November, there were 2 seats that were on the special election ballot, and Democrats flipped those seats. And those Democrats barely raised money. There were campaigns that were ran on, I believe, less than $100,000. So people understood this. Yeah, people understood the stakes. They understood that things have to change, and this is a way that they can directly vote and impact their bottom line, or for their bottom line, I should say.
So much of this, as you have said, is just about people's lack of education on what the Public Service Commission even does. When you've got a company as large as Southern Company and Alabama Power, making sure that education is not out there, because the more people know, they know that they would be voting differently. What would be an ideal, like, professional background or educational background for someone to serve on the Public Service Commission? What would be an ideal candidate as far as the job that they have to do in that role?
Yeah, for sure. So great question. We have candidates, and they'll be announced next week. And the makeup of those candidates, I believe, are the perfect, they embody the perfect skill set that someone would need to be on the Public Service Commission. We have a lawyer, so she understands, or she will understand, being on the ballot, what it takes to hold Alabama Power accountable. She knows the legal workings of what can and can't be done. You have someone who is a blue collar worker that actually puts up those utility poles, that maintains the infrastructure. So you have these people that work in the energy sector who are running for the Public Service Commission. And so they actually understand what it takes to maintain our utilities. So you'd have a public, so for example, the Public Service Commission, they have meetings that are open to the public in Montgomery. By having someone who is in that sector representing the blue collar worker at those meetings, you have someone who is fighting for the people in Alabama because they get it. You're electing someone that actually understands what's at stake and how these decisions impact everyday hardworking Alabamians. People in Georgia did it. We can do it too.
But here's my question.
Yeah.
So typically speaking, when a politician is quote unquote bought, there's a benefit to them for whatever they're doing for the corporation. The Public Service Commission, I don't know how much money they make in the role, or if they make any at all. I assume they have a small salary or stipend.
$114,000 a year.
So they make $114,000 a year to serve on the Public Service Commission. Why is it beneficial to them, outside of that salary, to turn their cheek at Alabama Power?
So
what's the benefit? I mean, $114,000 a year is great money in Alabama, don't get me wrong, but it's not enough for me to allow a corporation to just rape people over and over again.
Yeah, no. And this is all, what I'm about to say is alleged, right? This is alleged.
Allegedly.
So Alabama Power has a foundation called Alabama Power Foundation, and they give millions and millions and millions to communities and nonprofits and churches and other foundations throughout Alabama. And pretty much what they're doing, in my belief, and a belief that is shared with many others, is that they're buying goodwill. And a lot of times, if you look at who serves on the Public Service Commission and where their interests are, they're getting money from the Alabama Power Foundation. There are 501c4s that are allegedly tied with Alabama Power that can pay politicians. Alabama doesn't have very strict campaign finance laws. So it's advantageous because you have a $1 billion company that in many different ways can provide kickbacks to the people who are serving on the Public Service Commission, but also to the communities that they live in.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, some people would argue that that's not bad, right? Like you want the company, if it's the only one that there is, to at least reinvest some of that money back into the state, but at the expense of the everyday Alabamian not knowing that they're paying astronomical rates for their power. And there's not for nothing, but if I want to give my money away, I want to be able to choose where that money's going, not paying my power bill and having Alabama Power determine where charitable donations go for me. That's not what
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to chime in here real quickly on that point to say that there, and I'm not going to say names, but I was told a story last week by someone who previously ran for the Public Service Commission, and they were tracked down by an individual at Alabama Power, and they were threatened with pulling money from a nonprofit that it was either their friend or a family member operated. Alabama Power is going to pull that money from that nonprofit if they continued running for
run
that.
for
So
office.
yes. So I mean, yes, you can argue that putting money back into the community is a good thing, but when you're doing it as
a way to control people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Chad, what would and you may or may not know the answer to this, but what would a state have to do in order to move from one of the 10 states that elects their public service commission and become one of the 40 that just has a nonpartisan one that is chosen by the governor?
Yeah, I believe, and you caught me off guard to that question, but I believe.
Sorry, that's like
no,
a very
you're fine.
intricate political question.
No, you're fine. Because in Alabama, we are so weird in so many ways. I believe we still have the longest constitution in the world. So anything that we want to do, any changes has to be is a constitutional change. And so I believe it would be passing legislation to remove those positions.
Figured, yeah.
And then allowing the governor to be able to appoint them. But I don't know if I'm ready for that yet, just solely because if we say you remove those positions and Tommy Tuberville wins the governorship, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I
It's
know
like at
Alan
least you
Allen's
would have
thoughts.
control
Yes.
over that. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, either way, we're screwed, right? We've got a monopoly. We're a supermajority state, and on top of that, even if we shifted or we tried to shift, we've got a Republican supermajority that would not pass that kind of legislation, or maybe they would, and it would still just benefit them regardless.
Do we
crazy.
know how many representatives in the state of Alabama are receiving money from Alabama Power? Do we know any of that? Like campaign donations?
Yeah,
It has to be a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot, and I believe it's the Alabama Power technically can't give to candidates.
But can their foundation?
They're the foundation. They're 501c4. Their employees often all give to the same
surely
candidate.
have a
So
PAC.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna
The
say.
Southern Company has to have a PAC. The Southern Company has lobbyists, and those people can cut checks. And if they can't cut a check, then they'll tell somebody who can cut a check.
Right.
There's-
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it goes
insane.
deep. It goes deep.
It goes so deep. So have you heard from anyone? So I know you've heard from someone who they tried to squash their candidacy. You've heard from Alabamians who are like, oh my gosh, me too. My power bill is insane. Have you heard from any other individuals who they've tried to silence, allegedly?
So there are several. So I'm not taking credit for this because I just can't. But I am the first content creator in Alabama to start making the videos on Alabama Power to go viral. And there have been other creators since who have started making videos on the same topic, and they've had weird things happen to them as well. So I've had people reach out to me to talk about tactics that Alabama Power used when they wanted to buy their house or their land in rural Alabama because it would benefit them and they wouldn't sell it to them, tactics that they used. There's a creator up in North Alabama that I speak to regularly, and where she works, Alabama Power workers often will come in and tell her that she needs to start shutting up and she needs to be quiet and watch her back. We all get weird messages. So, I mean, my experience is not unique to me. It is across the board for people who speak out.
Where's
Yeah.
Erin Brockovich when you need her, man? Holy shit. Like, what is going on?
She is what gives me hope, truly. I was just talking about Erin Brockovich 2 nights ago with my boyfriend. I'm like, if she could do it with PG&E and Hinckley, then I mean, we can do it here.
Yeah.
You actually just said something that made me think about the fact that my mom was on a jury for I don't know the company, but there was this family right outside of the Auburn Opelika area that had been gifted land, generationally. It was a black family, and I believe it was the power company, but I don't remember the details, but I believe it was the power company that wanted to buy a swath of the land because they needed to put power lines on it. and they offered the family like $100,000 or something crazy. And the family was like, no. And if I'm not mistaken, my mom being on the jury, you know, they really were like, no, this is a black family who has generational wealth by way of land in Alabama, which is rare enough. And I do think that they got them like closer to $1 million for the swaths of land that the power company was trying to take from them. $100,000 versus what it was worth, closer to $1 million, which is just,
That's insane. Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if it was power per se, but just those types of things happening where like these large companies and corporations try to take advantage of people and silence them or buy them off or whatever. Just crazy.
I didn't tell Maggie this. Mallory knows this, but Maggie, I left this off earlier and I was speaking. After I started making the videos early in the fall,
I was just going to say, can you tell the story about your power bill?
Yes.
Yeah.
So after I started making videos in the fall, I cannot believe I forgot about that. Back when I started making the videos, one of the things that made me realize I need to reach out to someone that I know that used to work for the consulting firm that is employed by Alabama Power. Like, what is this a mistake? So I was at work and I got my power bill in October for the month of September, and it was set to 0. No explanation, nothing. No, it was just, I saw what it was supposed to be. It was subtracted by that amount, set to 0. So I did not pay a power bill in the month of October. And so when I asked them, I was like, why are they doing this? And they said, because you're talking about how high your power bills are. And so when they sue you for defamation, they're going to show that your average was $78 in the year because they zeroed out my bill. And so it made the average lower. So it's like, how can he be talking about how high his power bill is when his average was like I said, 78?
That's like, I mean, that's such a silly tactic because any lawyer worth their salt would be like, I mean, it's obvious what's going on here.
Right. It's just like spooky though. Like it really is.
It feels like a movie.
Yeah, and I think what's so interesting is that a corporation of this size and of that is worth this much money and has these power players in multiple states in the Southeast. Like, I think what's crazy to me is like they must have felt so incredibly threatened by the content you were making, by the reaction you got from people in your comments, that these were the lengths they were going to. And that, I think, is what is so kind of amazing to me about the work that you're doing and you know the content that you make is like this corporation that is worth billions of dollars was so put off by the truth being put out there that's what they did, you know. So that I think is really interesting.
I've said to a lot of people recently that if what they're doing is so morally right, so ethical, so it benefits the people of Alabama, then why are they going to these weird, shadowy, dark lengths to try to silence me? All I'm doing is making videos. Why don't they respond with a video? If they're so right, prove me wrong by making a video.
That's just so wild to me. I mean, and good on you for, you know, kind of keeping up the work and really staying on top of all of this.
But also, like, don't get pushed in front of a train. We don't need a single episode.
Also be careful. Yeah. Also, like, have some security in your apartment, and
I have.
You come home one day and someone's like rummaging through your studio.
Jesus. Listen, I have security cameras. I rarely. This is gonna sound so lame. I rarely leave my apartment because I have a full-time job aside from the podcast and the social media. So I'm working 8-hour days and then immediately go into 3 to 4 hours working on the podcast. And by that point, it's 10 p.m. I want to go to bed. So luckily, I don't go out very often.
So you hear that, Alabama Power? He'd be sad.
And I have a lot, but I have a lot of windows that people can see into. So we gotta really hide. But
if you look in the mirror one day, you've got a red dot.
Jesus. No,
Okay, we shouldn't joke about that. That's not funny, Chad. That would be absolutely unwell.
No, the one thing that I struggled with making these videos and knowing Alabama Power was seeing them and doing these really weird things allegedly was the fact that like y'all get this, you're on social media, you have followings that like likes and comments and followers, like it's just a number. Like there's no way to quantify the impact that you're making. And I was struggling with that towards the end of last year, but the one thing that really told me to keep going and the thing that gives me hope is the fact that I'm working with the state party right now on, like I said, identifying those candidates. And we have a big announcement coming next week, working with another group, and we have some events coming up. And it just seems like because I made these videos and people have been talking about it, there's a lot of awareness about this issue. And that's been the way I have quantified the impact that it has made. Like, it's not just a number. There are actual people who are counting on the work that we are all going to be doing together and making their life more affordable. So I have to say that gives me hope, and that's how I've really kept going despite the threat of a red dot on my head through the window.
Well, I'm so proud of you. You have been talking about this podcast for 8 years now.
Do you want to tell the story? Or do you want me to? I wasn't going to do it.
It was supposed to be She's Not Wrong. It was supposed to be me with Chad. And you know what, Chad, I have to formally apologize and say if I had just listened to you, we might be millionaires by now, both of us.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even be here.
The cookie crumbles as it's supposed to, and we do things in our own time, and it has worked out just how it's supposed to. We're going to have you back on after the midterms to talk about the Public Service Commission.
Yes.
And how the work that you and the party do in this time frame reshapes the election cycle here in Alabama. Super proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I do just want to end with your listeners hearing me say that, like, the Public Service Commission, when it comes to this election, as we said, it shouldn't be partisan, right? Democrats and Republicans, there's nothing that the Public Service Commission does that has a viewpoint on guns or pro-life. Quite literally, this is between right and wrong. And it is something that we can all come together on, and it could really shape how Democrats perform in this election. And I'm really excited about it. I appreciate that. And I will be more than happy to come on and give updates on how this plays out.
Tell us how you win.
And I can't wait to see who is running. Like, I can't wait for the announcement. I'm super excited. And I don't even live in Alabama.
There are 4 amazing candidates. I don't know if they've filed the paperwork enough to where I could say it, but mid next week, be on the lookout on my socials, and I'm going to send it to Mallory to share out as well. I'm really excited for people to find out who the candidates are going to be.
Yeah. Moral of this story, everyone, is, first of all, figure out what kind of state you live in. Do you have a
100%.
appointed Public Service Commission, or is it elected? And if it's elected, make sure you know who's running this year, because most, I would assume, are going to be on the ballot in 2026 in the midterms. But especially if you live in Alabama, now is the time to get to know the folks who are on your ballot and who's running for public office. Before you go, Chad.
Yes.
We have 2 things. First, we need to know you have fabulous skin and are always just gorgeous. What's your product that you brought to share with everybody?
So I did
the first man sharing a product on Pretty Furious.
So, okay, listen, I debated on what I was going to share because I do at-home microneedling, but I'm not a doctor, I'm not an esthetician, and I might be doing it wrong, and I don't want to be read for filth. So I'm just going to let people know I do that, but I'm in love with the prequel Lucent C Brightening Vitamin C Serum. I live by this. I saw someone on TikTok talking about it because I used to use, SkinCeuticals, their vitamin C, but it's way too expensive. This
like
is
$200 for a little bottle.
Ingredient for ingredient. This is the same.
Wow.
And it is amazing. It's same texture, same ingredients. It's phenomenal. So prequel, I love it. Target, I use their face wash as well, but this is the one I want to show on your show. But my second one that I'm freestyling with a little bit.
We love a prepared too.
Mega Babe deodorant. Can you see it?
Oh my God. That's what I use.
Mega Babe. And for fear of sounding like a Republican, I just don't think aluminum should be in deodorant. But I believe everyone needs to wear deodorant.
Wait, is that a Republican take or is that a Crunchy Mom take? I'm confused.
It's like a Maha, I think, kind of.
Okay, are we going there?
That.
Meanwhile,
it
I'm
used
like,
to
give
be
me
like
the
a
degree.
hippie.
Give me my aluminum. I don't care.
I love Mega Babe.
It's the first aluminum-free deodorant that I've tried that genuinely works.
I was going to ask.
It's
it
really
actually
good.
I have
works.
zero stench, zero
Yeah.
stench. And I can get bad stench. This, amazing. Target as
that's
well.
what's getting clipped. That part right there. So we've got a little game to play with you, Chad, before we go.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this game is called Fury or Fun, and
Okay.
it's a little game we play with guests where we list a few things. You tell us if they make you furious or if you think they're fun. So the first one up on this list is group fitness classes. How do we feel? Fury or fun?
Fury. I am a HotWorks fanatic. And if you don't know what HotWorks is, it's a
And
sauna.
you're not funky in there thanks to your deodorant.
Exactly. But I don't have to worry about it because I'm the only one in there. I do not do well if it's a group workout, if it's an exercise. I don't do well when people can see me. So I prefer a workout in a closed environment where it's just me. And then I can look as crazy as I want to. So Fury, group fitness,
Now,
yeah.
isn't HotWorks like a workout in a sauna, essentially?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But are you like me, Chad? When I go to HotWorks, I wait until I'm like on my way and then I book the room because HotWorks rooms can technically hold up to 3 people. I don't know how they feel like 3 people fit in those rooms. They're tiny, but I will like be driving and then I'm like, let me book the room where no one's in there. And it doesn't even matter what the workout is because I might not even do the actual workout. I'm like, I just want to be in the room by myself.
Yep, I will do that. I'll wait till the very last minute to book it. Like I'll get my shoes on and I'll check because I live close to a HotWorks and so the commute's fairly short and I'll wait till the very last minute to book that room to ensure that I'm the only one in there and 99% of the time I am. So
Love it. Okay, next one.
Amazing.
Also hot, heated rivalry.
okay, fun, but with a caveat that oh my gosh, Maggie knows this because I was DMing her. I will not watch it until I finish reading the book.
The book,
But
yeah.
I've seen enough content to know it's fun. So the way I'm doing this, Heated Rivalry is a series, and I do not understand why season 1 of a show is book 2 in a series. So I started reading.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So
game.
there's a whole story that happens before the.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well,
you are introduced.
I've started it, but I didn't know that it was book 2.
Yeah, so you are introduced to the characters in Heated Rivalry in book 1, but book 1 gets like 1 episode in the entire season of Heated Rivalry. I did not know that going into it, or I would have just watched the show, but I did finish Game Changer. That's book 1 of the series. I am reading Heated Rivalry, which is book 2, but season 1 of the show. And so, I it's fun, but I have not watched it yet, so please no spoilers.
It's fun, but it's also complicated.
Story of my life.
Amazing. Okay, and the last one here is how do you feel about the 2016 trend that's going on TikTok and Instagram?
Mallory, did you write that one?
What do you mean?
Okay, so listen, I'm not proud of who I hung out with in 2016 or who I am associated with. And all my photos from 2016, I cannot share. I will be canceled. I talk on He's Not Wrong all the time about what we want in people is for people to show that they are capable of growth and change. And I think I've spoken out enough about my beliefs and ideals and what I stand for for you to know that 2016 me, that he's dead. But I cannot show those photos.
Or 2016, you just didn't know who you were dealing with, but you have to elaborate, Chad.
I was lied to, okay? I was lied to because
You have to elaborate.
I was friends with the Grizzlies for the longest time, like best friends. And so all my photos are with Savannah and Nashville. And
Shut the fuck up. This is amazing.
and
Holy shit.
And yes, I did write that question.
I knew it. I knew it. No, I was friends with them and we were fairly close. And I often, every weekend was in Nashville. Savannah came to Auburn to hang out with me and visit. We were supporting our mutual friend at a Miss Alabama USA pageant. We all went to Tennessee to support Savannah and Miss Teen Tennessee USA. So we were fairly close and they were genuinely good people and they were gay friendly. They supported my community. But as the years have gone on, we have seen where they stand politically, and I don't support that. I don't stand for it. I think Savannah has a platform that she's failing to utilize for the betterment of our society. I think Todd and Julie did deserve jail time. They served it. Was their sentence a little extreme? That's up for debate. But I don't agree with who they sold their soul to and how they're going about business. I think is disgusting and is harmful.
Okay, but what about the photo of you that's viral from the show?
I genuinely thought, by the way, when Mallory put this in our like little thing, I thought she was just like trying to find another like pop culture
No, she knows.
reference.
Listen,
This is why, Chad, did you write any notes about coming on our
I
podcast?
wrote 3 pages of notes. And on page 1, I have a bullet point that says, unnerving to not be in control. The host knows all your secrets. And
Incredible.
so yeah, there I was on their show. And there is a scene where I'm with Todd and we're getting ready to shoot a commercial, and it's a full body shot. And I thought I woke up that day. I was in Savannah's apartment. I asked her, how do I look? And she said, you look great. I was wearing black skinny pants. And I believe at the time, what are the shoes? Toms? I was wearing Toms.
For sure.
You
Yeah.
should just not have said that part.
So it's 2016, babes. Come on.
Better than Sperry's. Okay. So
I actually thought that's what he was wearing, was Sperry's.
No, I was wearing Toms. And I had a moose knuckle that was hard to miss. And all of America saw it. And I get onto Twitter when that episode comes out, and there are people just like zooming in on my moose knuckle. That's center of their TV screen. So yeah, thanks, Mallory.
God.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're so
Appreciate that.
welcome.
wow, if someone could just send me like clips and stuff, that would be great. Perfect.
Sorry.
Amazing. So I assume that it's a Fury then on the 2016 trend home front.
I
Or
don't
not.
support. I don't support
I
that
don't
trend.
support.
It's a fury.
Yeah,
it's
Maggie-
a what is
Maggie and I
what
were-
is an extreme above fury?
Yeah,
That's where I am.
rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maggie and I were saying, both of us, we were like, you couldn't pay us to go back to 2016. No, thank you.
It was
No.
like joint. I think the worst. We both were like, it was the worst year of our lives. Like it was genuinely awful. So yeah.
I had a crisis in 2016. I dyed my hair blonde. I was platinum. Had platinum hair on the show.
Slay.
I think I
No.
had 4 different hair colors in 2016, if that tells you where my mental state was. I'm not exaggerating.
No, I would not go back for anything. So
No.
Yeah.
No. Oh, well, we hope you come back to Pretty Furious in the fall after the election cycle so we can talk
Yes.
about all the work you've done and the wins you have. And in the meantime, tell everybody what you're not wrong about.
yeah, listen, I'll come back, but just know that revenge is sweet.
You might have fucked that up, Valerie.
Revenge is sweet.
The good news is that I have control over whether or not you come back and then also what's published. So there's that.
Chad,
Aw,
thank you
well,
so
with-
much for being here. Thank you for joining us. You were just a delight. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear all about Alabama Power and their fucking sleuthy shit they got going on.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love you guys.
Love you, Chatty.